The VIVA is where you defend your project. It's a live encounter between you and usually an internal examiner from your own institution and an external examiner from another institution who is a specialist in the student's subject area. I think calling it a defence makes it sound like you're about to be attacked and that you have to fight people off. But I think most positively, it is a friendly conversation between experts with a student about the research that they've done.
It's generally about an hour and a half, 2 hours, but they find that there's so much that they want to talk about. And it goes, for most students, really quickly. It's a great experience, but it is important for them to have had some practice like that beforehand.
The VIVA comes right at the very end of a PhD, but I think you can start thinking about it from day one, because it helps you frame what your project is about and who it's for.
For some students, if their projects are formed relatively early, then preparations for a VIVA can be in some ways ongoing. The conversations with supervisors are in many ways preparation for a VIVA, but I think the real kind of focus on that development is after the submission of the thesis. Then there's a window of 3 to 6 months where the student and supervisor can really work to prepare for that assessment.
We all would do mock VIVAs with our students, so they're used to being in a certain place and being asked a set of questions about what they've produced and why and how they might have done it differently. And also really important about what their contribution to knowledge is in what field. And that kind of gives confidence to the student.
So a supervisor can attend, but they don't participate in it. They would just observe. And that can be useful because there are typically 4 different outcomes from a VIVA. One is to pass without having to undertake any corrections at all. That's quite an unusual outcome. The second, and perhaps more typical, is to pass where the student needs to make some minor corrections to meet the requirements of the examiner. There's also a third outcome, which is to pass but with major corrections. And then there's also the possibility that a student may not pass the VIVA. Luckily, that's quite a rare outcome.
Part of the whole process of doing a VIVA is that you have to ask these people to be your examiner. So they wouldn't have said yes if they weren't interested in your subject and what you had to say. So in a way, you're almost there. Your supervisors wouldn't have put you through to that level if they didn't think you were ready. Their reputation's on the line as much as the examiners, and your reputation's on the line, because everybody has to agree that it's worthy of being allowed in this elite band of academia.
Really, it is the sense of giving the student the opportunity to show off. You've got a captive audience, you've got people who are excited about your work and interested in it and want to hear more. So it really is a kind of a great opportunity to kind of demonstrate your knowledge and your experience and your expertise within that field.
You have to remember that you know your stuff. You've just spent however many years researching it. You're passionate about it, and you're the world's leading expert in it. Because if you weren't, you wouldn't have been allowed to do the PhD in the first place.
People are always nervous, but they really should be a celebration of achievement, and they can be fantastic. They can be really fantastic.